What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. Hope that you guys are enjoying your Sunday evening. Let's get into this Love and Marriage Huntsville recap, episode 7, season 9, called Game of Thrones. It picks up right where the last one left off. So Trish and Melody are still talking about Trish going to go visit Martell to train him, quote unquote, train him at their home. I guess, and Melody's trying to figure out, if she was still married to Martell at the time, what home it was exactly. And Trish said essentially what I was thinking, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking as well, right? At this point, because she Mel eventually says, this was back in 2020, it's now 2024. They've been divorced for I don't know how many moons and Sundays. But Trish said that there's still some kind of feeling there, right? Because Melody wouldn't have given her that long questionnaire if she didn't still care. And that's true. She was like, if people ask me about my ex, then I say, that's none of my business. It has nothing to do with me. I'm gonna put a pin in that, and I will come back to what Trish said at the end because I feel like her and Melody have a lot more in common than she may than she may realize, or even recognize. Could be in her subconscious or whatever. But I do feel like once you're completely over somebody, what they do or what they've done years ago, it really doesn't have anything. It doesn't bother you. It has nothing to do with you. You've moved forward. I feel like Melody's probably bothered, or she's gonna say that she's bothered by the fact that she would consider it disrespectful if Trish came over her then husband's house, that long ago. But again, that was 4 years ago, almost five. But next month it'll be 5 years ago. So time marches on and we keep moving forward. Let's move on to the next scene. So speaking of moving, right? Congratulations to Nell and Chris Fletcher. Chris has bought a new office for his real estate business in North Huntsville, and so Martell comes, to film with them. But he's essentially still talking about Melody. He was talking about, the field day event, but he's still talking about Melody. And I feel like Martell he's stuck in a place where he can't get past the fact that Nell Fletcher, despite, Chris being, you know, stepping out on her, his whole infidelity, um, she's stuck with her husband. He's accusing Tisha, Letitia of the same thing with Marceau. I do feel like even if Tisha did find out that Marceau had cheated on her, I don't think that she would leave him. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I feel like Martell he's really, he's stuck there because he had this frame of reference in mind where he said that, he had talked to some old heads that gave him bad advice, just to, kind of, I guess, quote unquote, like they said, cheat respectfully. Don't let your wife know, whatever the case may be. Sir, you had a whole child, a whole baby on your wife Melody. So that was going to be a no-go. But he's still stuck on the fact that he thought that Mel was going to stay and she didn't. And he's real sad. He's real salty about that. He can't let it go. So he's saying all kind of disrespectful foolishness, and people are they're getting fed up with Martell. It's the same old sob story. I wish he would just go ahead and marry Ariane Curry, or if not her, someone else, so that again he could move on with his life. Melody too. I would love to see her dating so that she's not grilling Trisha about quote unquote training Martell, who in my opinion doesn't look like he needs a personal trainer. I feel like he handles that department well. That's one area of his life, maybe the only, but one area of his life where I feel like, he has physical fitness pretty squared away. Speaking of physical fitness, we have our friend Ken. So Ken is talking with his friend at the bar about, throwing the kids a graduation party, and how just, he wants to get married to Trish. And he said as soon as, she finishes her finalizes her divorce with from Marquez, then he'll buy the ring. And his friend is just trying to give him, counsel. But I feel like Ken and Trish have been together for so long that they know what they want to do. Trish, I feel like a part of her, um, has unresolved feelings for Marquez. Again, it could be because they were together for so long that, since high school. But I feel like that's why, she hasn't married Ken yet. But the good news is, in the past episode, she did pass him the envelope. He did sign it. So she's going to say at the party that she did get the papers notarized. So that's good. But, people move on when they're ready. Matters of the heart are always messy. So, and speaking of messy boots, we have Miss Messy Melody, Sheree Roger. Now, I like Mel, but she is messy in this episode toward the end. But so she goes and sees Marcel and Tisha to show them a text message that, Martell has sent her saying that they were disparaging her at Destiny's field day event. A side note, I didn't know that Destiny had to make that field day event or she was going to get fined by Carlos. I thought they only got paid $2,500. He's going to fine them on that, on $2,500? I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, that threw me by surprise. So Marcel is explaining that, they weren't really talking about Melody. Martell, on the other hand, was, I guess trying to form some kind of alliance or allegiance to Melody. Again, I feel like he just, he can't move past that that relationship, that, past marriage that he had with her. I feel like a part of her, still misses him as well. And of course, listen, they were together, since college, and their divorce it's not been a really long time, but it's been, in my opinion, long enough. But Mel's trying to get, to the bottom of it. And Tisha said the only time the Marcel brought you up was, just basically was when Martell was, trying to find out if Melody and Marcel had anything going. I mean, they keep going back and forth, back and forth. And it's gotten to the point where it's like, listen, the couples that are married, in my opinion, they're going to stay married, irrespective of any infidelity or any foolishness, any recklessness. But I will say that Melody says that, she realizes that the Scotts are now recognizing that Martell is a gaslighter, that he would gaslight Melody often during their marriage to the point where she was second guessing herself, and nobody wants to deal with that. So I am glad that, they are divorced and that they're able to move on. And I really do hope that Martell and Melody and Marquez, they all find, loving partners, and they can move forward with their lives, because life is too short to be going back and forth over some past relationship drama. And speaking of past relationship drama, let's go ahead and segue to the last part of the episode, and that is our friend Marquez, Mr. Make It Happen 365, which that username, maybe it's aspirational. I'll leave it at that. Because to be honest, I kind of felt bad for Marquez. I'm not even gonna lie. I might be the only person that has a heart for him. I feel bad, and this is why. There's an old saying that I heard recently, and I've brought it up a few times on this channel, but it says that in relationships, typically women care too early, but men care too late. And Marquez is just now really feeling the sting of the repercussions from him walking out on his family. Trish was his wife. He needed to be by her side. Her parents had passed. He abandoned his wife and his children. So for him to, receive an olive branch from Ken and Trish, in my opinion, he should have been grateful. He showed up empty-handed. He started questioning, where was his daughter at? He started questioning the attendees of the kids' party. I mean, it was just, in my opinion, it was sad. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he just, he said he was struggling. He felt triggered. He went up to Fletcher and Maurice looking for guidance, and they're looking at him like, dude, we just met you. Like, relationships take work, they take time, they take energy, they take, you being around. Like, your physical presence is required to not only establish a relationship, but so that people can get to know you and your personality. And I feel like that's something that either he, like he said, he struggles with, he was triggered by, but maybe he just doesn't know. Maybe he just doesn't have the level of emotional intelligence to know that, listen, you can still put in the work, even though his kids are growing, almost grown, but he can still be there, right? He can still try to come around more, take them out to, a movie, or if he doesn't have a lot of money, take them to a picnic in the park, crackers and cheese and some fruit. It doesn't take a whole lot. It takes time. That is one, that's our most valuable non-renewable resource as human beings. You can always make more money. You can never get back time that you missed with your babies. And 0 to 18, I mean, it flies by. So the fact that, he's coming in, and of course, Ken is upset because he's like, listen, men want control, and he's over here with his chest puffed out. Where's my kids? You said my biological kids. I mean, is it a show of, trying to be like dominant? I mean, to my opinion, it's sad. Like, nobody is taking him seriously. Nobody, he's not a threat to you, Ken. He's someone who is, in my opinion, suffering. He's seeing that, you have not only the financial means, but you have, the love of his now ex-wife, um, and his children. And he feels like you took his spot, Ken, which, I mean, what's that saying? Ken's not the stepfather, he's the father that stepped up. I mean, he's the parental father figure in his children's lives, but they needed that. So Marquez missed out. But I did want to circle back, because when they're under the pavilion, grabbing some food, and Melody and Trish are talking in my top left corner, and Marquez comes in. Trisha's earlier statement about Melody not caring about Martell could easily apply to her conversation with Marquez here, because Mel is asking, she's like, they're talking about being triggered, and she's like, oh, are you triggered? And Trisha's like, she stammers and stumbles. Absolutely. At some place, some depth, some subconscious, whatever, she still loves that man. She's still in love with that man, because she has put off divorcing him for, I don't even know how many years. Okay. Like, they just made it final. I believe this year in 2024, she said there's, she was going to tell him that it was notarized, but Mel and everybody's like, no, let the kids have their moment. Don't do it now at the party. And speaking of the kids having their moment, here we have Ken, saying that, well, thanking everybody for coming, thanking the parents. He could have included Marquez, but I feel like Marquez, the way he came in, Ken probably felt disrespected, so he was being passive aggressive by not acknowledging him. The same way that, Trish has that smirk on her face, wanting to tell them about the notary. They want to punish Marquez, essentially. But in my opinion, he's already done that to himself. And like I said, my heart kind of goes out to him. I felt bad for the guy. But Anyway, it was a good episode. You guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.